Good morning class, I am an economics teacher and today is 25th of June. We are in the primary sector. We already saw the contribution of primary sector in the economy, the problems of the primary sector or the agriculture sector. Today we will see what are the government measures to improve the agricultural productions. The topic of the day is government measures to improve agricultural production. Means what are the steps that the government takes or government have taken in the past? What are the various steps those have been taken by the government in order to improve the agricultural production or agricultural conditions or the conditions of the farmers, Indian farmers. We will stick with the Indian economy only because the topic of the day covers about the Indian economy only. So, from the British rule, from the colonial rule, this has been the point that I am dealing today is mentioned in the page number 74. I have already provided a PDF, just go through it. The first point is land reforms. A bit intro about what the government is trying to convey or what the point is trying to convey. From the British rule onward, from the Britishers' times or from the colonial rule even, we have been seeing the poor conditions of the farmers. They have not been able to rise up, they have not able to upgrade their skills, they have not been able to match up the standard of the developed economies. You know, what are the various reasons for this? Today we'll find out the reasons or what all steps that the government has been taking from the first 5-year plans. There used to be a 5-year plans earlier. The plan was fixed on the basis of income of the country, whatever income country generated, on the basis of which the division was made for so and so amount. This will be put on the agricultural line, so and so amount will be put for defense line. So this was the distribution of the amount that was collected. This revenue was distributed into different sources. Till now, till date, we have covered 12 5-year plans. Now no more 5-year plans are there. But earlier there used to be 5-year plans. We believe that the political system is, whenever a government is formed, that is formed for 5 years. So 5 years planning it had to prepare before starting its journey. So from the first 5-year plan to 12 5-year plan, we are in the 12th 5-year plan right now. All the 5-year plans had a similar focus on the agricultural line, had the similar focus on agricultural development. But no government could actually develop the agricultural sector. Now this is a big reason to think upon why there was no development, why the situations, why the conditions of the agricultural farmers have not improved. This is a big question mark. It is a blot for the economy. It is a blot for all the governments who have come into the past earlier on and for the current government even. So what all steps the earlier government took, that we'll see. The first was land reforms. The first point is land reforms. Reforms means changes. Whatever change we make, that is reform. The other meaning of reform is change. The first point says land reform. In this, the government took all the measures to change the basic scale of production, to change the basic entitlement of land so that the production can increase. If the lands are distributed into small parts, then the production can increase. This is what the idea was. So it involves the changing of laws or customs or duties regarding the land ownership. Land reforms basically involves changing of laws regarding ownership of the land. Whenever someone owns it, see, there are two types of division in the economy. One person, one farmer is there who has plenty in everything. One farmer is there who is at the lowest level, who is fighting hard to actually fulfill his or her basic needs. So there are two types of farmer actually, rich farmer and the poor farmer. Now rich farmer is one who has ample amount of land, which he actually does farming up to upon his own wish. But there is a poor farmer who does not own any land. He is in need of the land, or he actually wants to work, but he does not have a land. So in that particular case, that poor farmer has to depend on the rich farmer. so that he can supply some sort of work. For this only land reforms were introduced. Land reform had the main intention so that the distribution of land or the division of land can be on equitable basis, on equal basis. Now, land reforms had certain other points. For example, abolition of intermediaries. We are discussing the sub points of land reforms. The first is first point is it says abolition of intermediaries. Abolition of intermediaries means all the middlemen were removed. Abolitionists to remove. All the middlemen were removed. There was no communication with the middleman. I'll give you a current example of what it means to say. The example is the current government or the current structure of the government is whomsoever the government wishes to upgrade or whomsoever government wishes to give the subsidy to. Earlier, what used to happen, if I am the needy person and I am in the need of subsidy, the structure was the central government used to send the subsidy to the state government used to transfer it to the local government used to transfer it to the Mukhya or MLA, and then finally the needy person used to get it. Now, in this, a lot of corruptions were involved. Because every time the finance or the revenue or the income or the money was decreased, at every source there was some sort of backhand practice was there. That is why the amount which were released by the central government and which finally came to the needy people was difference in the amount. Was there a big difference in the amount? In order to mitigate that, in order to remove that, the government came with a plan of sending it or having a communication with the concerned persons. Who the concerned person is? If I am the needy people and central government is supplying me some sort of subsidy, it will directly send it to my account. For that purpose only, when the Modi government came in the year 2014 into the powers, they first introduced Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. That was the name of the account, where all the subsidies amount will directly come into the account. There was no need of intermediaries. All the intermediaries were abolished. Same was the system in the land reform system. All the middlemen, all the intermediaries were asked to remain outside or they were kept aside so that the benefit which is to be given to the needy people or to the real farmer, marginal farmer, should directly reach them without any hindrance. The second point is tenancy reforms. The second point is tenancy reforms. Who are tenants? We say when we give our houses on rent, we call them as tenants. So there were some reforms in the tenancy land papers even. Means those who were employed for the production purpose, those who were employed for the agriculture or cultivation purpose, they were given the tenancy rights. They were the tenants actually, but they were made to realize that this is your own land, work like your own land, and whatever you produce, you will supply it, you will have a better income for that. And if there is surplus, the government is ready to take. I'll just read the point what it says. Along with the abolition of Jamindari system, in the abolition of land reforms or abolition of intermediaries, the Jamindars were abolished over here. Along with the abolition of Jamindari system, tenancy reforms were introduced. The rights of the remaining tenant farmers were secured and rents were fixed. Under this, every farmer who used to work, they had to pay some sort of rent. They had to pay some sort of rent. They were tenants actually. They were actually the renters. So the rents were fixed for which whatever they produced, that was to be produced or that was to be given to the government. And if there was surplus, then the government used to have certain other policies. Like, for example, generally, if the produce is of say rupees 1000, if agriculture production has been done for rupees 1000, then one third of 1000, that is 333 rupees, was fixed as rent. Means whatever you produce, one third of it will be considered as rent. Tenancy reforms were there, that rents were fixed. Earlier, what used to happen, that the rich farmers used to exploit, used to cheat the poor farmers. They used to charge unwanted reform or unwanted rents, or they used to take unwanted rents from the poor farmers, for which they did not land up into any sort of funding or any sort of profit. The third is ceiling on land holdings. Ceiling on land holdings. Ceiling on land holdings. Now, land holdings, you understand, the land which is under my ambit is my own personal land. So there were ceilings were fixed. Ceiling means putting a cap, which is the maximum area that one can occupy. So ceilings were fixed. Ceiling means maximum amount of maximum area which one can cover, which one can be the owner. So there were ceilings were put. The government put ceilings that you cannot occupy more than 2 acres of land, or you cannot have more than 2 acres of land or 1 acre of land. There were ceilings were fixed. The reasons behind putting the ceiling or putting the capping on the land was, the first was government wanted an equitable distribution of land. Everyone should have land on an equal basis. There should not be any differences. First reason was this. Second was, it actually wanted to lift the poor farmers. Those were poor. Why were they poor? Why were the farmers poor and some farmers were rich? It was all because of the division of land only. The rich farmers had ample land, but the poor farmers suffered due to land only. So the government had the policy of distributing the land on an equitable basis, on an equal basis to all. With the view to promote equity in agriculture, ceiling on holdings was fixed. Means there was a fixation of holdings, that so and so area of land can only be under your view or under your ownership. The rest of the land, whatever you have surplus, that the government will take and distribute to the poor farmers. This was fixed. The fourth was consolidation of holdings. Consolidation of holdings. Now, consolidated means arrange different things into one column, or to collect different sources and put it into one head, so that the structure can come out. Like, if I say consolidated school, means all the schools in the regions, all the schools in the locality have to gather at one place, and then the total students will be counted. That is consolidated students. Same way, consolidation of holdings means all those who own different sorts of land into small chunks, into small areas, and they needed to consolidate, or they needed to come across together. For example, if this is the land and there are different owners. These are owner number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This land, this particular land has 12 owners in it. Now what the government wants, let you be the owner, but what you do a collective production. Since this fellow, person number one, has a small amount of land, person number two has a small amount of land. So whenever they have a small area, it is very difficult to think of production of big activities or production of good crops. So what the government says, let your border be mitigated and you both together do the production, or let everyone together do the collective production. So government wanted to mitigate, or government wanted to collect all the small lands into one hand, so that the production can be in a big amount, or the production collectively production can increase. I just read the point. Land holdings of many farmers were scattered into small pieces of land at different places. This called for the consolidation of land holdings, whereby these separated pieces of land were converted to a single big one by consent of and redistribution. By consent, by your consent only. If all of them agree together, whenever government tries to say something, it is actually putting a method, or it is actually putting an indirect pressure to all of them to agree with. If all of them agree, if all of them satisfy, then only it becomes a consolidated land. Consolidated land will benefit altogether to everyone. Who all are the owners? They are going to get a better benefits. They are going to get a bigger benefits. Whatever produced, they were producing on a single basis or individual basis, will be much more when they come collectively. So this was the aim of the government. And the last point in this is cooperative farming. The fifth point is, we are talking about the land reforms. These are the reforms, and the fifth point in this is cooperative farming. Cooperative farming. Cooperative farming. The word cooperative means in a group, in a collective form. It talks about the collective norm, means different sort of farmers are working together for the growth of the society, for their own growth, self growth, and overall for the growth of the country. Cooperative farming is when all these 12 producers, when they combine together, that becomes a cooperative farming. When they were involved on a single basis, on an individual basis, they were doing for themselves. But now when they are working collectively, that becomes cooperative farming. That was the aim of the government. It is very difficult it is actually very difficult for any government to mix up different people into one head. It is very difficult to make them agree to. But since whenever government raises any point, it has a valid reason behind it. That is why all of us agree to whatever government says to us. So cooperative farming was also introduced, so the farmers could work together as a large group, availing the advantages of large scale cultivation while retaining their individual ownership. Your individual ownership on a piece of land will remain yours only. If the land number 3 it belongs to you, that will belong to you only. But when you come for production, when you come for cultivation, let's join together and produce. Let's join together and produce, so that overall production, whatever we are doing, that increases. That increases in both the favor, or individual favor and on a together favorable, means on a group favorable. So this was about the land reforms. I'll take one more point and we'll end over here. The point says failures of land reforms. Now, main reason why did the land reform fail? If it was such an innovative point, why did it fail? The point says failures of land reforms. Just see the points. Unfortunately, besides Kerala and West Bengal, no other states could handle the situation or could be a part of the development model of the government. Rest all the states failed on the basis of land reform. That is why it turned out to be a failure for the country. Now the reasons were, first, there have been weaknesses in the legislative system. Since all the decisions are taken by the political masters only, so their intention did not match on a practical basis. Theoretically, they came with the plans, but on a practical basis, when it was asked to implement all these steps, they failed over there. They miserably failed over there. That is why this plan did not become successful. Point number one. Point number two says, mostly the Jamindars were able to transfer land to family members to escape land ceiling. Now there was a point on ceiling of land, ceiling on land, this one. Means if you have surplus land, the government will take away your surplus land and give it to those who are in the need or who are the poor one. Now what the Jamindars did, Jamindars means who are the owners of the land. Those people are called Jamindars. So what did the Jamindar did? Whenever they found that they have surplus amount of land or surplus land they had, what did they do? They transferred it to their family members' name so that it does not go out or it does not go in favor of someone else. It became the part of their own family members only. So this was another reason for the failure. The third is, in many cases, the tenants who were given ownership rights were later evicted. Now, tenancy reforms were there in which the tenants were made the owners. They were made the owner on a condition, whatever you produce or whatever you cultivate from a piece of land, 1/3 of it will be charged as rent. Means if you have 1000 kg of grapes, 1/3 of it you will have to keep it as you will have to give it as for the rent purpose, rent of the land, and the remaining will be yours. But later on, the Jamindar or the powerful people of the village or the richer farmers, they actually did not follow this policy. The fourth point is, the poor and landless farmers were far too ignorant and weak to assert their rights. Now, the poor farmers, now poor farmer does not only means over here in economic sense that we are poor, the farmers were poor. No. It means they were not knowing the rights of their own, they were not aware about their rights, they were not literate, they were not updated with the rules and regulations. If their rights are abolished, if their fundamental rights are taken away, snatched away or exploited, how to take a better charge of it or how to recover those rights. So they were not informed. These were other myths. This force actually created a mess for the society, for the country. The last point is, courts took a long time in settling disputes where landlords challenged the ceiling. Now there were, the Indian penal system is such that whenever court case is filed, it takes years and years and years on to come to a final judgment, come to a final verdict. Same was the case over here. Whenever cases were filed with regards to different exploitation of the land reforms, it took years and long to come to any final conclusion, which actually destroyed the personal life or individual life of that so concerned farmers. So overall, the system did not work and it turned out to be a complete failure for the government of the country. That is why till today we haven't revived from this situation, and our farmers are still fighting out. We can see that death cases, suicide cases in Maharashtra, Gujarat, the farmers are dying due to hunger. They are not able to fulfill their basic needs. The farmers are at the most empathic situations of their life. They are not able to fulfill their own basic needs. So we need to think upon, as a young citizen of the country, you all are going to be a part of the system today and tomorrow. So just keep in mind about the pains of the farmers that they are going through. And think about the innovative points, think about the innovative method which you can apply for helping those guys, for helping those poor farmers who can be a part of the system, who can be a part of the development. Thank you class, rest will continue tomorrow.